Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm doing a podcast episode. I've got like 20 different topics I want to go into as it's the beginning of a new year, and there's lots of people with questions on metabolic flexibility, metabolic efficiency, carb timing, how to start keto, how many macros should you have, blah, 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 blah. The questions are just endless that I see on social media and on the podcast and our Facebook group pages. If you're not in them, there's some great low carb athlete type of groups, private groups. My page is public. It's on Facebook and social media, Instagram, and it's just called Low Carb Athlete. But you can also join a Facebook group page. There's 2 or 3 that I'm in for the fat burning athlete or the fat adapted athlete. And there's, what's the other one? Low carb athlete, something like that. So there's bunch of keto endurance athletes, different ones that you can join in and ask questions in a private forum. My page is more about research articles and stuff that I find I share on the Low Carb Athlete page. And then I, of course, have the Low Carb Athlete Instagram, and on Facebook, the Whole Athlete Podcast page, which is this show you're listening to, as you know. But I am horrible at keeping up social media. As you may have learned about me in my book and my podcast over the years since we started in 2012, that I am not good at doing a bunch of stuff. I'm better at picking 1 or 2, 3 things and doing really well and not having distractions. And doing social media is a challenge to me, and I know I have to do it. And I like to do it, but it's also addicting and time-sucking, and it's hard to post stuff every day and not get sucked into seeing how many people liked your post and made comments and interact with others and trying to build that online social media presence. I don't think it's me. I try to do it, but I'm not like Triathlon Taryn and other people I know that are posting pictures of themselves working out or eating and their food and what they did for their workouts. I think that's great. It's just not me. I don't carry my phone around with me when I work out, and unless I'm out of town running, I'll keep it with me. But it's hard for me to always be connected. And that's kind of what I try to preach to you, my listeners, and my coaching clients, is really following what I learned in my book, Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey, that we need to unplug and disconnect and not always be available to emails and text messages and alerts on your social media posts. When people make a comment, I don't believe you should have the notification that pops up on your cell phone, your watch, your Garmin, your iPhone, or Apple Watch, and have these alerts and saying, hey, someone just commented, or how many people liked your thing. I don't have any of those notifications on my phone, on my computer, or my new Garmin 935 watch I just set up this weekend. It is really hard to focus and be productive these days because there's so many interruptions, so many distractions, and squirrel. I mean, there's so much. And even what I'm getting to today is talking about fatigue and mitochondria. But what I want to do a show on is just talk about, everyone trying to be fat adapted and keto for beginners. The group pages I'm in on Facebook are not necessarily athletes. So we're a little different. If you're working out every day once or twice and you're doing a lot of endurance training, you might have special needs for a little different ratio of macronutrients to still burn fat. And if you're reading all this information, you're trying to figure out what to eat, that's great. It's not just what you eat. It's training the whole athlete with the holistic method. And hopefully you've read my book and my manuals on Amazon under Debbie Potts. The holistic method manual and the whole holistic method program I created back in 2014, 15, or 13. I don't know, somewhere around that. And I started getting the ideas like, we can't just train for performance, for longevity, for fat loss, to be fat adapted, metabolically efficient and flexible athletes. We need to not just what we eat, but also how we eat it. When we eat it, we talk a lot about intermittent fasting. We've got some episodes coming up with Kelsey from Get Keon, Ben Greenfield's company that I'm a Keon coach, and we'll dive into fasting a little bit more with the Keon 5-day challenge, fasting challenge they had in January. But what I'm getting to is that we need to work on eating the right macronutrients that are real food, for one. Enough of this processed crap, what do people call it? Dirty keto. It's a bunch of junk food that you're eating. So I don't see how people think that's healthy. Maybe it's, I guess, better than alternative than a high sugar crappy food. Instead, you're eating highly toxic processed food that's low carb, but it has protein and fat in it, but it's crap. And it's going to overload your liver, overfilling your body with chemicals and toxic ingredients. So our liver has to work even more. So I obviously have an issue with that. But anyways, it's not just what you eat. When you eat, it's about intermittent fasting, timing your carbohydrates. If you have a morning or at nighttime, pre-workout, post-workout, whatever we need to do. That's a topic we'll do with Peter Defty on a different episode. But how you eat. So all these people, all of us who are trying to be healthier versions of ourselves, feel better, look better, move better. If you're eating a healthy, real food, nutrient dense, in season, local foods that balance your blood sugar, that should be the main goal. Eat real food that balances your blood sugar so you avoid the surges of insulin and gives you energy and makes you feel good and full and satisfied for hours afterwards. That's what you should be eating. But you don't necessarily know if you're breaking that food down and absorbing those nutrients unless you do lab testing. And if you sit down, focus on eating, chewing your food properly, not doing 50 things at once. You're not driving your car. You're not working at your desk. You're not taking a bite and doing something else. You're sitting and eating as if in Europe, maybe you're in Tuscany eating a late afternoon lunch and you're sitting and chilling out for an hour. Now, a lot of people don't have time to eat a meal, but I think we need to look at the European style and make time. The day revolves around that nice big meal in the afternoon. Now, a lot of people multitask, as I said, but they also eat so fast. I've worked with a lot of clients that I've seen how they eat. I see what they order. That's the area of opportunity. But how people eat, they inhale their food. It's just like, get done. I need to get back to work. I have other things to do. I need to go work out. I need to drive to a car and pick up my kid off from soccer, whatever it is. We need not to rush when we eat. Sit, focus on what you're eating, taste your food, enjoy the flavors, cut it up, take a bite, chew it 20 times to 30 times before you swallow, and chew it completely. Don't take another bite until that food is already chewed and swallowed. So you'd be amazed. Pay attention to how you eat the next time you're sitting and eating. If you're actually chewing your food and swallowing it before you already have another bite on your fork ready to go. Take a moment to put your fork down. What I learned in Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers, well, I did Jenny Craig back in high school, college. And I remember the one takeaway, easy tip that we can still always use, put your fork down in between bites. Eat real food, shop in the outer aisles, the walls of the grocery store. Don't shop in the aisles. Sit down, chew your food. Take your time, taste it, enjoy it, and move on. make it an experience rather than an inconvenience. So it doesn't really matter what you are eating if you're throwing it down and just shoveling it down super fast, taking big, huge bites, inhaling it, swallowing it without proper digestion. So we can go into that more in depth, the steps of digestion. And with my friend TC Hale, we did a podcast about that. And a few years ago, I did some episodes and blogs on my website, debbiepotts.net, on proper digestion. It starts in your mouth. It actually starts in your brain. So sitting down, being in that parasympathetic state, activating your vagal tone that connects with your gut and activating the whole digestive system. The nervous system needs to be turned on so we can digest our food properly. So we start releasing those salivary enzymes in our mouth. We chew the food properly. We swallow it. It goes into our organ, the stomach. And we need that stomach to be acidic enough so you're able to break down mostly the proteins. And the pH of the stomach acid needs to be a 1.5 to 3.0. So if it's too high, say it's 4.0 pH, you're not going to have enough acidity to move your food south. So we're always working on digestion, north to south. And if we're eating our food and trying to break it down in our stomach, it needs to be an acidic environment for it to continue proper breakdown and digestion before it moves into the small intestine, or else you may experience food moving back up, so acid reflux. Contrary to what we have heard for years, another myth that we are told to help the supplement medication pharmacy industry make more billions of dollars, antacid are not what you need. You actually need more an acidic supplement, as I take HCl, hydrochloric acid, betaine, or I take K-Pex, a great all-in-one supplement that I can put in the show notes that I order each month that helps break down my protein, carbs, and fats. And really important if you're doing a low carb, higher fat diet that you have that digestive support. So once our food breaks down, hopefully properly in our stomach, it moves into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, and we start to have different things activated. It's crazy how the body has this whole system. And we start to break down the proteins a little more, and the fats get bile released and help emulsify the fats. So we need proper bile flow. And then our carbohydrates also start to break down even more. They even start to break down in the mouth with the enzymes there, salivary amylase. So we want to have this whole system working in order. So we work north to south in nutritional therapy. And it continues on. So when I'm working with health coaching clients, as I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and now an FDN practitioner, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, what I do is work on correlating all this information together and then do functional lab tests and help them optimize their health, their performance, longevity with proper nutrition, digestion, nutrient absorption. And a lot of that is external stressors and hidden internal stressors we identify with the lab testing. But having proper breakdown of our food is really important, or else we could have irritation to our gut wall lining leading to leaky gut. And also we start to see large intestine problems, issues with having digestion or dysbiosis and diarrhea or constipation and bloating, gas, all these different things happen. But it's not just working on the large intestine. We have to start from the very beginning. As I talked about the other week in lifting weights, you need to start on the foundation. Well, in nutrition, we work on improving your digestion by working on the foundation. So working on what you're eating, not eating inflammatory foods, getting the MRT lab test. You can, test your heart rate. If the pulse goes up after you eat something, that's a signal that you're probably reacting negatively to that food. So it's a sensitive food for you that you should probably try to avoid. And then we also get to work on your foods that balance your blood sugar. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, it's snowing outside. I'm distracted. Like there's a squirrel running, but it's snow. But just working on what you should eat for your body. So metabolic typing diet, we do that in our FDN program. You can go to mtdiet.com and you can pay, it's $139 and you can do this whole test on your, kind of looking at your genetic profile a little bit there too, asking a lot of questions and figuring out what type of foods and what type of oxidizer are you, a slow oxidizer or are you a fast oxidizer? So it gives you great information, gives you foods to have. Also, Viome is another test that we've done, and I've worked with them a little bit to figure out, based on your gut biome, what foods should you take or what food should you avoid or limit. And then also, the gut biome test. I'm really excited to test out a new gut biome test from Microbiome Labs that we've talked to Karan, my amazing friend that I've gotten to be friends with over the last few years, seeing him at all the conferences. But Karan is the expert in the microbiome and speaks all over the world. And their company, Megaspore Biotics, is a supplement I use, but Microbiome Labs, they have a new, what's it called? Something Biome FX. And it's a new gut stool test that you can take at home and learn more about your gut biome. But as an FDN practitioner, I put these functional labs. We have 5 or 6 labs I want people to do. I'm trying to get people to do the organic acid test as well to learn more about the mitochondria function and any deficiencies they may experience. And then we don't treat the lab results. It's a big difference of what we do in FDN versus most all practitioners I've ever worked with personally, that they treat the lab results, even same as medical doctors. They just get the labs and give you that supplement based on what's low. Well, instead, I'm working as a health detective. We're being an investigator into the whole you and figuring out where your imbalance is. And we're going to work on treating everything all at once, nothing specifically. But as we do the lab testing, I have my clients I'm working with right now actually start on what they're eating before we do any MRT lab tests, and food sensitivities will be identified through those labs. But working on just finding foods that make you feel good. Are you full for 3-4 hours? Do you have energy afterwards, or are you tired after you eat? There's a lot of things that you can do on your own or with a health coach and just get started by learning how to take care of the whole you from the inside out by working on proper food. Timing of your food gives you energy, and chewing your food and being relaxed when you eat in parasympathetic state, activating the vagal tone, all those little things we talked about. But really working on how to improve your health, but how to improve your body, your mitochondria health to burn fat. And with that, I'm going to dive into an intro of a follow-up podcast to this, more mitochondria. So switching the topic of, we're just working on digestion, but it's connected to my focus today is how you can get more energy from the food you eat, get energy so you can exercise, train, and race at your best. And as we look ahead into the year, we should be setting goals on improving our performance. But really, I want you to be more concerned with your future. So don't look just short term. What you're doing right now is really damaging your health, the whole you from the inside out for the future. Chronic cardio, chronic exercise, the way we train as endurance athletes is not healthy for us. If you are going to continue doing it, you need to take steps, preventative measures to take care of the whole you at a cellular level. That includes taking care of your mighty mitochondria. So the mitochondria is really important. Also your liver health, so it can have detoxification, so you can properly digest your foods. Your liver has to get the bile to the gallbladder and emulsify those fats. We've got glucose, gluconeogenesis, glycogen to glucagon in reverse. All this stuff happens in your liver. And the most important part, I think of it as your liver as a filter, and it has to deal with all these stressors, external environmental stressors, stress of life, our medications people take, their prescription drugs, their hormone supplements, environmental toxic products you put on your body. I mean, all these different sources externally can accumulate as chronic stress, and more stressors that we have, more overload to our liver and more stress on our cells, including our mitochondria. So if you look at Ari Whitten's The Energy Blueprint, I'll give him a plug because I'm going to share some of the notes I got from what I'm learning from his webinars. And I also signed up for the Mitochondrial Summit this past few months ago and got their downloads so I can watch them all over time when I'm riding the spin bike in the winter. And I'm catching up on all this new research in mitochondria. So what I love about the mitochondria is that it just doesn't produce our energy, the ATP, is not just made in mitochondria. And so we're going to learn a lot more about the role of the mitochondria, and learning about what Ari Whitten's saying is completely makes sense to me, and that we need to look at, it's not adrenal exhaustion that's creating fatigue, it's the role of the mitochondria that produce energy. If they're not functioning, what's the opposite of creating energy? Not creating energy would be fatigue. And that the role of the mitochondria isn't just energy production, but there's two roles that the mitochondria have a choice, and that's to go into cell defense mode. So if we have excess stress from eating a high sugar diet, from eating the processed foods, the canola oil, vegetable oils, GMO foods, and then we've got our environmental toxins, your skincare products, your makeup, shampoo, conditioner, your laundry detergent, dishwasher detergent, your fragrances you put in your house, on your body, all that. You can go to ewg.org to find out if you're putting toxic products in your household and on your body and in your body. That all overloads the liver, which also overloads the mitochondria. So it's really amazing research coming out, and I wish I had months to just research strictly on mitochondria for performance longevity, because I'm speaking on Jamie Moore's low carb cruise in May, and then KetoCon is in June in Austin, Texas. I'll be talking how to train the low carb athlete for improved performance and longevity. So I need to get some research collected and start working on my slides. But mitochondria are really what we as athletes should be looking at. You can improve your mitochondria from being a low carb athlete. Yes. The other elements of the holistic method are, we just said nutrition, your exercise, sleep, stress, movement, digestion, gut health, hydration, and happiness, play, laughter. And I wrote this, as I said, many years ago. I created that holistic method manual workbook that's on Amazon that I'd love for you to buy, because I need to promote it. Because it's an amazing book of all these people I've interviewed and put a chapter in each of these items or elements. Excuse me. And what I'm learning on the mitochondria optimization program that Ari Whitten talks about in the Energy Blueprint are about optimizing those 8 elements of the holistic method. So how can we put that all together? It's pretty dang exciting. And as an endurance athlete, we are creating stress, oxidative stress in our body. So that's overloading the stress on the cells. And that stress on the cells is going to damage the mitochondria. So we want to get more mitochondria. We want to make them stronger, more resilient. So we have to figure out what that is. So the mitochondria, just go back to what I said in a previous episode, but the mitochondria definitions are varied, but here's a good one I like is the mitochondria are known as the powerhouses of the cell. They are the organelles that act like a digestive system, which takes the nutrients, breaks them down, and creates energy-rich molecules for that cell, for the cells. They're like all over in every body, parts of our body. The biochemical processes of the cell are known as cellular respiration. Also, we've talked in the past to other leaders in metabolic efficiency and talking about the mitochondria, and we've got great information out there that how these mitochondria get damaged. So with aging, with chronic exercise, alcohol, prescription drugs, we've got oxidative stress. There's a lot of damage that we put on our body every day. So we need to take awareness of that, including if you're one of those people that I have a lot of friends that took way too much Advil or Aleve and anti-inflammatory type of supplements to decrease that exercise or improve the exercise recovery. And instead, that's really damaging the mitochondria, including antibiotics and different statin drugs and aspirin even. And, there's a lot of information on PubMed you can find. But I want to get into what Ari Whitten's talking about, because it's pretty exciting. And those free radicals that we're creating stress from exercise is what we need to look at for athletes, because if that mitochondrial wall is damaged, this so-called machinery can be exposed to more free radical damage. This causes wear and tear and can lead to less energy being produced. And to make matters worse, they say on the Energy Blueprints, a podcast Ari Whitten did, the mitochondrial wall is compromised of some free radicals, and it can leak into the cell and damage the delicate equipment. So the mitochondria, we talked before about CoQ10 with MitoQ, and this is a naturally produced antioxidant that is used to help the mitochondrial walls with creating more defense barrier, kind of what we work on with glutamine and other supplements to improve the mucosal barrier of your gut wall lining. So your body is super freaking amazing. Think of this gut wall lining. We have this whole mucus protective barrier so things don't seep through. But of course, we get too much irritants to that gut wall lining. The villi get damaged and things, items, products, food, nutrients seep through in between the villi, creating damage and inflammation into the bloodstream of those items seep out through the gut wall lining. Same, but similar to the mitochondria, that they get damaged from all that stress too. So the mitochondria are something we really need to keep working on. So our bodies perform at optimal level, we need the mitochondria to work at optimal level. So it's like a finely tuned engine. So there's more and more research online because scientists are starting to recognize the link between mitochondria function and our health. So the CoQ10 that we talked about with MitoQ is produced in our mitochondria, but as we age, that level declines. So when the level of CoQ10 declines to a point where we cannot counteract the damaging effects of the free radicals, it places our cells in a state of oxidative stress. So because of that, it happens all the time, so we may not even notice it's happening, but it's just kind of a gradual, kind of a dripping faucet effect that we start to have less energy over time. And you might start to feel that you're not recovering as fast from a workout session. And maybe you're sick and it takes longer to recover. So I would, that's sign and symptom to me as I research this, that's just mitochondrial dysfunction. We start to feel more fatigued and you can't bounce back. Instead of blaming the aging process, which most people seem to always do, we need to look at more of the why and what is out of balance, what is dysfunctional, what is broken in the body, that it's not just age, it's not just your adrenals, it's not just the HPA axis, but it's another issue is the mitochondria function. So they're saying that it's when the mitochondria are unable to function at their best, this can be a significant cause of many serious health conditions around the world and includes 7 of the 10 most costly losses of life. So, a lot of the health diseases, chronic diseases, are related to mitochondrial dysfunction as well. And it's become increasingly evident that our overall health and well-being, even how fast we age, are closely related to how well the mitochondria are performing. And I'm all about these wrinkles are coming up on my face, they're driving me nuts, and I bought so many different products trying to get anti-wrinkle oils and potions so I do not have these wrinkles around my eyes and under my eyes that drive me nuts because I don't feel old, but then I look at myself and I'm like, crap, what's going on? My eyes look horrible. So mitochondria is part of that speeding up the aging process, getting more wrinkly. And that includes our exercise, guys. It's all that chronic cardio you're doing is speeding up the aging process. So we really need to work on antioxidants to reduce oxidative stress, and working on this mitochondria optimization with taking MitoQ, and I take True Niagen, and just working on my different supplements as Keon aminos, and I'm taking K-Pex for protein, fat digestion, so I'm not having stress there, and I'm having microbiome labs or Megaspore Biotic to help my gut biome. So, if you're not taking any supplements, you don't need to take 50 things because you pick up something every time you listen to a podcast or read a new blog. But, getting something for digestion, something for mitochondria health, antioxidants because we're overloading our body with oxidative stress from exercise in our environment. But looking at your gut biome should be a Megaspore Biotic is amazing. And, looking at liver detox tea, methyl, I like the Quicksilver methylated drops of a B complex to help that area that we're deficient in. And there's Quicksilver has some great drops for mitochondria function and also liver detox if that's the issue for you. And there's signs and symptoms of congested liver you can get in my free ebook on my website. Anyway, so the mitochondria, so we know they produce energy and cell protection, but the scientists, they say for the MitoQ, are known the mitochondria more than just the powerhouse of the cell. They have a vital role for calcium regulation, cell specialization, DNA and RNA, and the cell growth and cell generation. So I think what more and more info come out probably this year, because a lot of research is probably going on now, that it's just not energy production, the powerhouse of the cell that we learned growing up, but how the mitochondria are related to the DNA and RNA production, cell growth, cell regeneration. As I said, they're sending messages to the nucleus and other structures in the cell, which modifies cellular activities. And then they go on to say the ability of the cells to correctly hear these messages determine how well our bodies grow, repair, and fight off infection. So looking at the mitochondria is really essential. And I really love the information we can get from MitoQ and their website. And they have probably the most research than anybody on the effectiveness of their product. And there's a lot of people behind them supporting them. So you trust a product. I trust a product a little more about the importance of taking MitoQ. So solutions are limiting the amount of oxidative stress on our body by eating the right, more lower carb, higher fats, organics, grass-fed, non-toxic food. And I would add to that, as I said in the beginning of the show, eating real food, not this dirty keto processed garbage foods filled with toxins. And especially you're eating more meat, make sure it's, if you can afford it, I know it's expensive, but having more grass-fed, free-range, wild-caught fish, and living healthy. So that includes, I think, getting rid of those environmental toxins in our environment, in our household cleaning products. So looking at ewg.org website. Exercising is 30 to 45 minutes a day. And typical triathletes, endurance athletes, that's like our warm-up, right? So we need to know that, less is more is not better. And if you choose to race this year, make sure you take time for an off season or like go really low, easy, shorter workouts in between races. So you have a recovery period, maybe a month off, and then go back to training for your next race. Also make sure you have proper recovery program into your weekly routine. So having a rest day, active day, maybe easy swimming, yoga, Pilates, range of motion stuff, not the hardcore workouts that are now for Pilates and yoga, but just more mobility. And then also looking at infrared saunas, Normatec boots, using the foam roller. I like the Power Plate, the Hyperice foam roller, and the ball that they have. And I love my Sunlight and infrared sauna. So just know that more than 45 minutes of exercise is not good. And yes, we need to do HIIT training, and I talked too long today to go into what I was actually going to talk mostly about is just the hormetic stressors. So, working on getting the right antioxidants as CoQ10 through MitoQ is my favorite. It's a direct uptake of CoQ10 into the cell. So a lot of the times they're saying the supplements you're taking are not even working and breaking down in your body properly. So we want the MitoQ, something like that, to get the CoQ10 actually into the cells, into the mitochondria, to replenish the antioxidant reserves that get depleted at the site of biochemical reactions, helping to reduce oxidative stress. So that is a lot from MitoQ. But, I will add before we wrap up, symptoms of mitochondrial dysfunction include similar complaints of all major chronic diseases that are known in chronic fatigue. So brain fog, mood disorder, anxiety, depression, lack of focus, and performance in workouts and races. So you can learn more on MitoQ on their website. And Dr. Sarah Myhills, I did a previous podcast with her, and we talked about mitochondrial function, chronic fatigue. And then Ari Whitten, the Energy Blueprint, is another source. You can get all these free ebooks from him and really fascinating stuff. But really his key points are talking that holistic and functional medicine generally has very little to offer most people with fatigue or chronic lack of energy. He says that their thinking is dominated by the idea that symptoms are being caused by adrenal function and cortisol issues, which are simply not supported by the science. He thinks this is a misguided for us to think that we'll fix our fatigue issues by fixing adrenal function, and says the science clearly shows that the primary cause of fatigue, burnout, and chronic fatigue is clearly not dysfunctional adrenals or abnormal cortisol levels. So that's why, as you know, my story, my book, Life is Not a Race, it's intriguing to me to hear his side of the story and all the research he's looking at, how, a lot of our issues are possibly the mitochondrial dysfunction. So we can dive into, how to reset our circadian rhythm and help improve our mitochondria function. But I'll just touch on the previous episode, but bright light every morning, get off your electronic devices, off and out of your bedroom. Number 3, sleep in complete darkness. Number 4, optimize your sleep time based on your chronotype. And I did a podcast on the chronotype last year, using blue and green blocking glasses. I'm doing a podcast recording tomorrow actually on this topic. And number 6, optimizing your feeding window to amplify autophagy, which I'm doing a podcast with Keon content manager Kelsey next week. So we'll talk about that more for women on intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is related to disrupted circadian rhythm, which is just connected to mitochondrial dysfunction and chronic fatigue, but how autophagy doesn't happen to be occurring when we're eating all the time. So he talks about autophagy in the Energy Blueprint should be happening while we're sleeping, during the night while you're fasting, and you have that detoxification process helping, so cleaning up those dead cells. So we want to shorten our feeding window to 10 to 11 hours or longer daily. And you do that gradually, because I know, we want to get 16 hours. Some people want to do 20 hours once a week, 24 hours once a week, or once a month, but we need to work up to it. So, we can talk about that with Kelsey, but it's going at 12 hours to start overnight fast in the 12-hour eating window. And then I work my clients towards 16 hours overnight fast and then an 8-hour eating window. So kind of cut back about 30 minutes your fasting period every few days. So the chronic fatigue stuff's interesting. I just want to go into this a little more with you guys this year, because I'm learning about how our energy is more connected to working on our whole self, not just HPA dysfunction, but working on your gut biome, working on your vagal tone, working on your gut wall lining so you don't have any leaks in your gut. And then we work on getting our mitochondria stronger, and that's with the good hormetic stressors that we've talked plenty about. So hopefully, we'll do this topic on Wednesdays, but for mitochondria, for athletes, it's really a big topic. And you can listen to Peter Defty and I did a podcast out the previous week about why mitochondria are so important for energy production. I've talked to Sarah Myhills, if you look at past episodes with her last year, on how nutrient deficiencies and we need those right enzymes, products, raw materials to help produce energy. And she talks a lot about acetyl L-carnitine, coenzyme Q10, magnesium, and other little tricks you can do, including vitamin C. So she talks a lot about that on her website. The B3. B3 is a raw material for NAD, which is what I get the True Niagen supplement. She talks about the Krebs cycle and all that. And then you should look up Robert Naveau, Naviaux. He's the one that Ari Whitten talked about, the basic idea of toxic insults of various kinds, whether toxins or nutrient deficiencies, emotional traumas, or different types of stressors, essentially kind of engage the mitochondria in sort of defense mode, where now their role is to defend against a threat. So this is a basic idea that puts these mitochondria more in cell defense mode versus energy mode. And that is a part of the accumulation of stressors that I've talked about many times, that our beaker of stress gets overfilled from the top up, right? So our brain. So how we load up all these stressors. Remember, there's many internal stressors. That's why I became an FDN practitioner, because we don't know about those internal hidden stressors unless we do the functional lab testing. And I can also measure the mitochondria function by looking at the organic acids test we're going to dive into too. So Ari Whitten has a lot of info on his podcasts and books that I'm following and learning from, that the stress load on the mitochondria puts them more in defense mode. And that's kind of the main focus I want to share with everyone that looks at it from an athlete's perspective, and for females too, that the stress load on the mitochondria puts them in defense mode and can take the energy production offline. So if you want to look after your life and your mitochondria, you'll improve your longevity. So I will stop talking, because my 20-30 minute podcasts always end up be 45 minutes. But I would work on just what you eat, when you eat, how you eat. Work on your vagal tone, so strengthening that nervous system. And you can do that by humming. You can do that by gargling, some breathing exercises. But there's a lot of issues that link to low vagal tone, and we need to be able to have that stronger vagal tone. So I'll just finish this with what Ari Whitten I learned from him, actually. The number of key drivers in poor vagal tone are chronic stress, poor gut health, past trauma, genetics or epigenetics from your mother. So low vagal tone is related to a lot of dysfunctions, and it's not just, you can measure heart rate variability. We've got plenty of podcasts on that in the archives. Negative emotional states. I just did an amazing episode, I thought, talking about emotional state of mind is a toxic stressor. And, if you have racing thoughts, difficulty turning your brain off, you have low resistance to stress, you go to the bathroom all the time. I was urinating like every hour. So blood pressure, blood sugar problems, anxiety, and, you've got high cortisol levels, you've got poor satiety or sense of relaxation when eating, you have digestive issues. These are all signs of low vagal tone. So, working on getting that vagal tone stronger is another part of our training program. So let's continue on. I would love to hear from you what questions you have, as I focus Wednesdays on health building topics and discussing the mitochondria optimization, which will help improve our performance and longevity, but really, your fat loss, performance, and longevity. So Thank you guys for listening. Please help grow the podcast as I continue to do this 3 episodes a week. I would love your support in spreading this podcast out because I do not do well doing that myself. So I need your help. If you could share the podcast if you like it. And if you could also leave a review on iTunes, as there's 10,000 other podcasts literally out there for people to choose from. So if you could help share this information for athletes who are interested in endurance and being low-carb athlete and reducing oxidative stress and learning how to burn fat and all the above that we talk about, the holistic method, that's what we're focused on. So please help share and grow the podcast with me. And everything's on debbiepotts.net. So enjoy the day and make sure you're doing something to laugh and be silly. All right, go play.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.